Hi everyone, Kevin McDonald here and welcome to today's interview on success stories. So today I'm joined by Natasha Friend, who's been doing some awesome stuff in property. So you're going to absolutely love this. So hi Natasha, thank you for joining us.
Hello.
So for anyone who doesn't know you, and I know a lot of people in the progressive community do know you because you're a very regular posting and sharing your journey and stuff and helping people. But for anyone who doesn't know you, do you want to tell them a little bit about Natasha, pre-property, why you decided to get into property, and then we'll touch on some of the stuff you're working on.
Yeah, of course. So I worked for a high street bank for 11 years, did numerous different roles. My latest role was being a mortgage advisor. I really wanted my own business. I just knew the 9 to 5, 5 days a week lifestyle wasn't for me, being restricted to 25 days holiday. And I really wanted to escape sort of the rat race, I suppose they call it, but didn't know what to do. I thought I'd need to come up with some genius idea to set up my own business. And then I came across one of Rob and Mark's books, and it just blew my mind. Even as a mortgage advisor, I thought the only way you could build a portfolio was to have a really good job or have a successful business, save up money for a deposit, buy a house, and then go again. So when I sort of learned about the buy, refurbish, refinance model and how you can work with investors and really scale and grow a property business, I've just got hooked from there, I think.
So when you say you worked for a high street bank as a broker, for some people watching, they might be thinking, oh, she's got experience in property. Did that give you any advantage over anyone who say works, I don't know, in what I call a normal job? Not that that's not a normal job, but in a non-property job.
I mean, probably slightly, because I understood all the sort of terminology and the way mortgages work. But even now, I use a broker. It's not something I do myself. It's something that we outsource. And I think having a broker and a good broker has been a massive benefit, more so than me having sort of the qualifications as a mortgage advisor.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I have never done a mortgage application myself. I wouldn't even know where to start. Just get a broker. So your property journey, you decided to get into property. Is that your dog?
Yes, sorry.
real work
baby.
He's like, the properties are mine. The properties are mine. So we got to keep it real on here. So when he screamed, when the dog is shouting in the background, Natasha saying the properties are mine, what have you done? What have your results been? What sort of stuff you've been working on with the dog?
So we've been really busy. We discovered Progressive in January 2019. Done some training with them in March. So we joined the VIP program in May 2019. And since then, we've built a portfolio of single lets using the buy, refurbish, refinance model. Just under £2 million. That's 14 properties in total, and we're due to complete on our 15th on Friday. And we raised just under £1 million in investor finance in order to do that. So I started with quite a small pot myself. We refinanced our own residential property, and I sold my car after learning about sort of assets and liabilities and all that. So yeah, we had a small pot of 40,000. But have then since worked with investors and also done flips to build up our pot to enable us to scale and grow quicker.
When you say 14 properties, you're about to buy your 15th buy-to-let. They're all single-let buy-to-lets.
Yeah.
Yeah. With those properties, for a lot of people, like 14, 15 properties is like a huge amount of property. What period of time did it take you to buy those in?
So that's since sort of May 2019, so just over 2 years.
Just over 2 years. That's pretty awesome. But you use joint venture partner funding. Now, is that joint ventures or private investor funding? Because they're very much a difference. So you just borrowed the money, private investor. So for anyone watching is wondering the difference between the two, and joint venture partnership money would be, for instance, me and Natasha go into a deal together and we share the equity, we share the cash flow. While a private investor would just lend you the money, then you pay that money back with interest, and you keep all the property. So you've kept 100% of all the property. and
Yeah.
pay them back their money.
Yeah.
Awesome. So raising money before you sort of started learning about property investing and came to Progressive and did the VIP and stuff, had you ever raised money before?
No, never.
How has your sort of mindset changed around money over the last sort of couple of years?
Massively. And I think the main thing for me was focusing on the fact that we're actually helping other people rather than we need to find people to give us their money. We need to be able to find people that we can help get really good returns through property on a completely hands-free basis whilst building our business. And I think having that switch and also changing the fact that not sort of pedestalizing, is that the word, pedestalizing the money?
Yeah.
Like, yes, obviously we can't do the deals without the money, but we've got the education. We've invested a lot of money in our education and training. We've got the experience. We're sourcing the deals, managing the refurbs, doing literally everything. So I think making sure that they're sort of on balance has helped as well.
I mean, the person with the money can't make money on their money without the knowledge and the time that you bring to the table. So it's got to be a win-win. So, and I see this a lot with people where they feel like they don't deserve the money, or nobody will lend them the money because they've not maybe, they've not done it before, number one, but then they don't believe that they've got enough experience. But actually, the knowledge, the education is almost more important than the money, because there's money everywhere. So how soon into your journey did you raise your first money? Was it like a year in? Was it only a few months in? How quickly were you there going, you know what, I need to raise some money, let's go raise it?
Well, my first investor was actually my dad, so I don't know if that really counts.
It counts because a lot of people, they get the money from aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, neighbors. The guy at work. My first investor was a guy who sat next to me at work. My family, I was never going to get a penny out of them, but for some people they do. For some people they do.
I was quite surprised because my dad is sort of the type of person that likes to see the money sat in the bank account, likes the security, really risk averse. So when I sort of presented our first deal to him and said, we need this amount of money, we can give you X percentage. He obviously asked quite a few questions, done a bit of due diligence, but then he went on to invest with us, and I think that gave me a big leap in confidence as well, to then go out and work with people who aren't family and friends.
Okay. And you've got those properties you've obviously raised over £1 million. You buy those properties, you pay the investor back, you've got the cash flow, the equity. You've said you've got £2 million worth of property. So obviously you're in the Peterborough area, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. So those properties, £2 million value. Equity wise, how much equity would you have created within your portfolio?
It's around probably just under 75, about 73% loan to value across the portfolio.
So £2 million of property, 500 grand of equity. 500. I mean, average. That's in 2 years. Average UK salary of about 27 grand.
Yeah,
You'll only earn in a lifetime probably about 800 grand before you spend a penny. So to create 500 grand worth of equity, that's a huge achievement. So well done. But it's also only the beginning, I guess. So what else have you done? What else is next? Where are you heading? Where are you going?
So we've done a few flips. We've made just under £200,000 in profit over 3 flips. We set up and sold, went to SA business. So we ended up selling the shares last year just because I wanted to focus solely on sort of building the portfolio for the next couple of years. We've also sourced a few deals for investors and managed the refurbs for them. What else have I done?
That's a lot in itself. So let's dig into some of that. So obviously you set up the Rent to SA business, you started cash flowing, and then you just sold the shares to someone else so you could focus on other stuff. And that's a lot of people do things like this because the cash flow initially got you going, and then you do other things. But you mentioned the flips. So for anybody watching as well, if you're new to property, when I moved over to Ireland from Ireland, I thought when people said to me flipping properties, I thought they meant like those flipping properties. But they so. A buy to flip, Natasha. For anyone who's totally new to property, you want to explain the process of doing a buy, refurbish, and sell or flip the property on, and how you find them, what sort of property you're looking for. Just a little bit of detail to help people maybe if they're thinking about the same thing.
Yeah, of course. So we actually decided to focus on flipping bungalows, just because we are looking to save the stamp duty with probate sales. And it went really well the first time around, so that's what we've sort of focused on.
So straight there again for anybody brand new that's watching this, that's never been to Progressive, don't have any education. Stamp duty on probate properties if you're trading them. Just give us a little bit on that, because obviously there's no stamp duty, is there? And a lot of people don't realize this. So do you want to just touch on that?
I'm no expert. We use an expert to deal with the claims for us. But if you are buying a property that you're trading, so you're buying it to sell in a trading company, you can have a relief. I think it's relief 25 against stamp duty land tax. There's quite a few different points that you have to meet, criteria that you need to tick off. So you can't sort of extend the square footage of the property. You can only spend a certain amount on the refurb, but there's ways of sort of looking at it. So things like changing windows to bring them up to safety standards, or a rewire isn't included in the amount of money that you can spend on the refurbishment, on actually adding value. They can be sort of put into different sections. And it does make a big difference, especially if we're buying houses around 250,000 to flip, because obviously the stamp duty is a lot more than our single buy to let.
It's like 9 grand stamp duty saving probably.
Yeah.
So that'll take you a long way on your refurbishment, won't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then your flip project. So you're looking for bungalows, probate bungalows, because you get the stamp duty relief. And you obviously, a probate bungalow, I guess, is an empty property. It's run down. And then what do you do? What do you do with them? And then what's your sort of target buyer?
So we try and accommodate all different buyers. We don't try and sort of refurb it to suit just elderly people, which is stereotypically what people think of bungalows. The last two that we sold were actually sort of middle-aged couple and a family. So we try and refurbish it to suit anyone's needs. And we always look to stage the property as well. I think it makes a massive difference having it furnished and dressed, so people can see what the property actually looks like as a home, not just an empty shell. And the other reason we like bungalows is because, generally speaking, people are downsizing to a bungalow, so they're cash buyers, which means it can go through a lot quicker. You can have sort of complications with buyers looking to buy a flip with a mortgage if you've owned it for less than 6 months. So that's our sort of reasoning for focusing on bungalows.
So you've done 3 of these now?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've made what, 200 grand profit, so around what, 60 grand per property?
On average. The last one was just over 70. One was about 54, and the other,
Not bad. So you're not going back to the mortgage brokering again, then, the working in a no.
No, definitely not.
So what is next? So you've obviously got your buy to lets. You're about to secure your 15th. You've done your 3 flips. What's coming next? What's the next plan? Is it just more of the same? Are you looking to do anything else? Where are you going?
For the next year, we want to sort of just scale on the buy to lets, try and get to sort of 30 units in the next year, which is going to be a big push. And I've just had a baby, so that makes it even harder. But after that, we want to look to scale to sort of bigger projects in gradual steps. So maybe looking at like a small commercial conversion, and then going on from there to developments and even new builds maybe, but slowly steps. I think having a good foundation of single lets will do us a world of good. And obviously we've got the cash flow then coming in to enable us to do a bigger project, which will take a lot longer than our single lets, which we usually turn around in 6 to 8 weeks.
Had you done any, so that's a lot of property, a lot of big stuff to do in a couple of years. Had you done property prior to coming to Progressive, say 2 years ago, or what were you? I know you were in the sort of working in the bank, a bank doing mortgage, mortgage advice and stuff, but were you doing any property pre deciding I'm going to become an investor?
So we bought our first house when we were 18, literally just before the house prices crashed in 2008. So completely oblivious to sort of the housing market and how it all works. So we did keep that property and rent it out once we moved in 2014. And then I also tried to sort of educate myself, listening to podcasts, watching all the YouTube videos, reading books and things for a year before I came to Progressive. So I think 2018, we were sort of trying to do it alone by ourselves with all the free education that I could sort of absorb, but we only managed to get one property in that year. So yeah, it's made a massive difference.
You mentioned join the VIP program. So the VIP, for anyone listening, is a Progressive run a 12-month mentorship program where you get accountability and stuff. How valuable was that to you, or what was the sort of key things that helped you in that?
Yeah, no, that was hugely valuable. I think the investment that I made into the VIP program is sort of, I don't know how many times I've got that back now, just over the 2 years with the equity in our portfolio and the money that we've made in the flips. But for me, it was having this sort of accountability and the support network. I know I've said to you before, my husband wasn't really on my side with sort of investing in that education. He thought, no, you can go and do it all yourself. I didn't actually tell him that I signed up to VIP until a few months later, after a few wines, and I got a bit of confidence. But yeah, having that accountability and that support, I think without that, there's no way we would have grown as quick as possible. And my mentor was amazing. He pushed me out of my comfort zone on numerous times, made me do things that I never would have done without sort of having his support and his encouragement there. And the network, I've raised funds through the community, through the VIP community, and just even having the support network when we were setting up the SA business, utilising other people's knowledge and experience that were already successful in SA helped massively. Yes,
as well as mentors. What about the people? Just other peers? Like, have you become friends, support groups, etc., with people as well that are just on the journey with you, that started with you, you've met in the last couple of years?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've made some lifelong friends through VIP and support networks, especially through lockdown. We were still having sort of Zoom calls and trying to catch up and support each other any way that we could, share our fears and our worries and successes. Yeah, it's been amazing.
One other thing, just for people that are, maybe I see this a lot where people are in a town and they say, I'm not really sure I can get started because there's a big property investor in my town. They're getting all the deals. Obviously, you've come to Progressive, and Progressive Property, for anyone who doesn't know, is based in Peterborough. So they're based where you are, and they've got a significant portfolio in Peterborough. And a lot of people might think, oh, there's no point me doing property in Peterborough because Progressive will get all the good deals. So what is that true? Do they get all the good deals? Could they even do all the good deals if so many there, or is there that many there? So what would you say to somebody? I guess tell us a little bit about your mindset when you came initially around that you and then Progressive been in the same town, and then secondly, then what would you say to people who are maybe thinking, I'm in a town somewhere else in the country and there's this big property person, and how should they deal with that in the day-to-day and also in their head?
Yeah, I mean, I think Peterborough is quite a highly competitive area. Even people sort of from London like to invest this way because there's great train routes, etc. But having Rob and Mark here, it did probably, I mean, it scared me a little bit, but it also gave me confidence that it's a great area to invest and sort of know which areas are the areas that I should be investing in. I think they've got probably around 1.5% of the actual total properties in Peterborough. So yeah, even though their portfolio is humongous, there's still many properties out there, and they're looking at the bigger deals now, I'd say, not the little single lets like me. But yeah, I think in any area you can find the deals and make a success. You've just got to try all different ways of finding them, and make sure your marketing's really good, make sure you're building strong relationships with agents. I think it helped because I've lived here all my life, like 31 years now. I've got good relationships with people. I know people who work in estate agents, and then just building and strengthening those relationships helped even more. And trialing and testing which sort of direct to vendor marketing works in this area. Being a bit more flexible around your deal criteria and finding different ways of adding value. And yeah, I think obviously the education helped me look at properties in different ways as well.
You touched on some really interesting points there as well. It's like, well, because when I was starting, I used to try and find somewhere that nobody else was investing. But the reality is you said something really interesting there. It gave me confidence that Peterborough was a good area to invest, because actually what I should have done when I started was not try and find somewhere nobody else was investing, because there was a reason no one else was investing there. Yeah, it's like it's the right mindset of if somebody else is investing there and they're a big player, that must be a good area. So good. That's the switch that I needed to make when I was trying to change from not doing great to doing great. So for anyone listening, you got to pick up on those little tips of advice there. So it's really powerful. You in the area, you're focusing on bungalows now for the flips, and also the buy to lets to hold. Buy to lets to hold, are they like flats? Are they houses? Are they 2 beds, 3 beds? What type of property are they?
Generally 3-bed terraced houses is what we sort of focus on and focus our marketing on, but we do also pick up the odd flat or 4-bed terraced, just whatever sort of deals that are out there, or whatever stacks, I think. But our main focus is 3-bed terraced properties, really good family rental properties, rent out really quickly, get good yield, and good capital appreciation. I think that's the thing with flats in our area. They don't generally appreciate as much as the houses. So we do try and focus on terraced houses.
And in terms of finding your deals, is that typically through estate agents? Do you do any direct to vendor stuff? How are you coming across the deals?
Yeah, I'd say probably 70% is through agents, through relationships we've got with agents, but we do also pick up some deals through direct mail letters. That's where we've had more success than leaflets. Word of mouth through business networking that I've been going to. We sort of get word of mouth referrals now. Post or pre-auction seems to work quite well as well. Maybe not so well at the minute with the market being so hot, but previous year we picked up a few sort of post-auction that didn't sell.
Have you noticed, because I spoke to a few people this week and they've said they've noticed some of the heat coming out of the market now, with the stamp duty holiday been removed over 250 grand and soon to be removed from the 40 to 250. Have you noticed any of the sort of heat coming out of the market? It's slowing down a little bit or anything in Peterborough at the moment?
I'd say a little bit, not a massive amount to make sort of any significant change, but yeah, we're still
Your purchase prices below the 250 level still?
Yeah, for the single lets, we're generally around 120-ish.
Right. So yeah. So for anyone, I mean, whenever people are watching this, maybe you're watching it after September 21, maybe you're watching it before, but we're in towards the end of July 21, and we've had the stamp duty holiday removed at the end of June between over 250 to 500 grand. So there's a slowing. A lot of people I spoke to in those areas, the market has slowed. It's a little bit of heat out of the market between 40 grand to 250, because people are now thinking, if I put an offer in as we go into August, maybe I won't get it completed by the end of September, and that holiday's gone, because quite a few people got caught out at the end of June with not getting it completed in time. So over the next sort of month, 2 months, if you're listening to this as we head towards the end of September or after September, we could be in a different market as the stamp duty holiday gets removed and goes back to normal. So it could be other opportunities there. But even without that, Natasha, a lot of people are sitting back going, I'm waiting for the market to slow down. I'm waiting for something to change. I'm waiting for the government to change. I'm waiting for, I don't know, Brexit to happen again. Are you looking for properties right now? Are you looking for properties over the last 6 months? Have you just stopped, or have you continued to look for property? And if you're either way, why?
Yeah, no, we've continued throughout, and I'm glad we did, because we've done some of our best deals yet. I think it's sort of near on impossible to time the market unless you've got a Mystic Meg ball. Yeah, we don't want it to stop us from growing. As long as it's a good deal now, then we're happy to buy it. And I think property is quite forgiving. Oh, the baby's waking up.
Okay.
Can you hear him?
You need to go to the baby, right?
Yeah. Here he is.
Hello. So what's his name?
Frankie.
Hi, Frankie. Frankie, did you know that you're going to be you're £2 million worth of property, Frankie?
My oldest daughter said to me when he was born, does this mean I still get to choose like which properties I can have? I was like, well, do it fairly.
It's like the amount you had has just halved.
Yeah.
Mummy's got to get another double it now to get back. That's why you're going from 15 to 30. I get it now. So yeah, obviously you've got to look after the baby. So we'll wrap up in a couple of moments, Natasha. But just finish off what you were saying. Do you remember what we were talking about for the baby cried?
Yeah, the market and why we're still buying now.
Yeah.
So I think it's impossible to time the market. As long as it's a good deal now, then we're still more than happy to buy, and we're still actively looking to buy as many properties as we possibly can. I can't see the market crashing anytime soon, if I'm honest. I mean, I'm no expert in economics, but I think the sort of supply and demand is going to keep the house prices growing. The unemployment's not as high as what people were panicking about and thinking was going to cause sort of a crash. So yeah, and
I guess the printing of money devalues. Government printed £1 trillion. It devalues money. It pushes prices up. It pushes rents up. It pushes food up. Everything up. But you mentioned there, even if there was a crash, and I'm not sure there is a crash, but what you're doing, the buy, refurbish, rent, refinance, and the buy, refurbish, and sell, you're adding value anyway. So like you mentioned, you made 70 grand on a flip project. I mean, for anyone watching this and thinking, what if the market crashes? But if Natasha's made 70 grand profit on a flip, that property market would have to drop £70,000 to lose money. So
almost 30%.
So you're almost protecting yourself anyway with the strategy that you're using, that the added value, the buy, refurbish it to add value, you're protecting yourself from whatever, you're creating the cushion of the drop. While the dangerous thing to do is for somebody who's an amateur maybe in property, where they don't know what they're doing, is they buy a property at market value, the best house on the best street, and then they don't do anything to it to force the value up. So, and that's the power, I guess, of education. So I guess, what would you say to anyone who's thinking, can they do property? Is it the right time? Should they wait? What would you say?
I'd say, start now. I wish I'd started using years ago, because it would, obviously what we've done in 2 years, we would have grown a lot more if I'd started many, many years ago. What's it they say? When's the best time to plant a tree? 5 years ago. If you can't do it then, do it now. But I think anyone can do it, especially if you get educated, if you take the right actions and have the right support network and accountability there to sort of guide you through. That's made a massive difference to us.
Awesome. And if anybody wants to follow your journey, to see what you're up to, how can they find you? So are you on social media? Are you? Yeah. How can they get in touch?
So on Facebook, just Natasha Friend. On Instagram, I think it's Natasha Friend _. property investor. I post a lot of our deals on the Instagram page. Or they can send me an email, natasha@friendpropertygroup.co.uk.
Awesome. So really appreciate you coming on, Natasha, and sharing your journey with us and your results. You're doing phenomenal stuff. And obviously, I know you said you had till the baby woke up. So Frankie's awake. So I really appreciate you coming on. I think that's really going to really help people who are thinking about getting started or maybe scaling their property journey. So I hope you enjoyed the interview, everyone. You've been listening to Kevin McDonald and Natasha Friend and Frankie. You've been absolutely awesome. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me.